Annyeong 친구들. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If you're new to my channel, I like to do a greeting at the beginning of each video that says, hello, my friends, in the language of the artist in question that I'm planning on reacting to. So, of course, that is Korean. And I'm going to be reacting to Park Ki-young. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. This is an artist that many of you have been requesting for a while, and so I definitely wanted to get around to reacting to her. A lot of you have said that she has an amazing voice, and I'm excited to hear her, especially with this song. By the way, welcome to Singer Dad Reacts. My name is Josh, and I've been away for a while, and on my last reaction, I talked a little bit about the fact that I had COVID and I'm recovering from that, and I'm doing much better now, but it definitely threw me for a loop. So excited to get back into it and put more reactions out there, and I appreciate all of your patience. So this song has special meaning for me in that one of my favorite soundtracks from a movie is got to be from The Mission, Ennio Morricone and his work with the music from The Mission. The music is just so beautiful and filled with soul and love, and the melodies are so rich, and I just love the music from this movie. And so of course I love this song. I've actually sung it. I don't think I've ever recorded a cover of it. Maybe I'll put that on my list of covers to record and post to the channel if that's something that you guys are interested in. So I'm going to go ahead as I do for each of my reactions, and I'm going to read the lyrics. So just an explanation. I get this question a lot regarding the lyrics and also reading the subtitles. So one of my goals with my channel is to make my reactions available to people all around the world. And that's why I spend quite a bit of time going through and translating my English subtitle file, which is auto-generated by YouTube, into 15 other languages. Because I want people from all around the world to be able to experience my reactions and come together and all that. And so part of what's necessary to make that happen is when I'm going through KZ Tendingen is a prime example. So there were English subtitles playing on that particular video, and the speaking was also in English. And so when I was reading the subtitles, a lot of commenters were like, why are you reading the subtitles? So why I was reading the subtitles is because if I don't speak it, if the person's speaking it, sometimes YouTube will pick it up and they'll add it to the subtitles file automatically. But a lot of times they don't for some reason. So when it's coming from the actual video, YouTube doesn't pick it up. But for sure, when I speak it in English, then it gets picked up and added to my subtitles. And then when I do my translations, it gets added to those. So those that are non-English speakers can then understand what was being said. So that's an explanation as to why I do that. And also with the lyrics, right? When I read the lyrics in English, then they get translated into whatever language it is, and then those who are watching can experience and understand the lyrics of the song in their own language. I also, of course, love to really read the lyrics to better understand the message of the song and to understand what the artist is trying to convey and the story arc and what the power of the message is, and how it is universal for all of us in some way. So that's part of what I'm also looking for. So in this case, Nella Fantasia, in my fantasy. The music, of course, as I mentioned, is from Ennio Morricone. It's actually taken from a song in the soundtrack called Gabriel's Oboe. And then the lyrics, Chiara Ferrao. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And so the translation for this is, in my fantasy, I see a fair world where everybody lives in peace and honesty. I dream of souls that are always free, like the clouds that fly, full of humanity deep within the soul. In my fantasy, I see a clear world where even at nights there is less darkness. I dream of souls that are always free, like the clouds that fly. In my fantasy, there is a hot wind that blows over the cities like a friend. I dream of souls that are always free, like the clouds that fly, full of humanity deep within the soul. So how relevant a song is this for what's going on right now in the world? I love the message behind the lyrics. A fair world where we can live in peace and honesty, where we are always free, where we can be full of humanity. A clear world where there is less darkness. Hot wind that blows over the cities like a friend. I love the imagery that invokes. So this has very simple but profound lyrics, and those are the types of songs that I love. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the reaction. I've picked her Immortal Souls performance. That's the one that appears to be the most well liked. I didn't see any subtitles available for this performance. And again, if you're new to the channel, or if you haven't already, if you could please subscribe, click on the notifications bell there, so you can be notified of any future reactions that you may be interested in. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's cool, that little, the way they did that. Wow. Her tone is just breathtaking. Sorry about I don't know what's happening with my internet right now, but I have like really super fast internet, and for some reason it's not behaving right now. Yeah, she's got an amazing tone. Little different style. I don't want to compare her too much to Sohyang, but I'm sure that happens a lot. With reactors, I saw when I was looking at some of the reactions for her, that there were some where they kind of had reactors reacting to them, side by side type thing. So I don't want to do too much of that. but it's a good kind of contrast, kind of looking at their singing styles, because So Hyung is more open, and it's ironic that it paused on a shot here where she's very open, but for a majority of that and when I say open, sometimes and I've talked about this before, but singers can be open but not necessarily have an open mouth as much, right? So like you can have your mouth kind of not super open, but then have a lot of everything open back here, and that's still open and creating a better sound coming through. So there's, I'm sure, a lot of that going on, because this, if you're not doing it correctly, what happens is, and you're closing it off both inside and here, then you're going to start to like be a little bit under the pitch, or you're going to be not as resonant, and that'll happen if you're not really opening things up across the board. I mean, in all these different areas that are involved with the sound coming through. So lifting the soft palate, making sure the tongue's out of the way, all these different things that are involved. But she's definitely got a really strong instrument, and just a really pure tone. I'm loving it so far, and I'm going to go back a little bit here. I kind of paused in a weird spot. Let's see. Let's try there. I love this song. Yeah, see, that's really a nice... That one is kind of a little bit more kind of a nasally. I want to clarify there. So don't take what I'm saying about nasally as a bad thing, because that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It just means that it's the placement of the sound. She's made certain choices to kind of push things up and then through this area here. And it's not flat. It's not, the pitch is just right on, and it sounds great. It's the kind of nasally that I don't really care for, is kind of that country twang, that's really like super nasally, where it's all just shoots straight up into the nasal cavity. I don't really care for that as much. So that's not what I'm talking about here. So it's more just that kind of brightness that you can hear with the sound coming through, and that kind of sharp edge. That's what I mean by that. So just wanted to clarify. Good breath control. Now you can tell she's open on the inside. Her Italian's really good, by the way. Look at this guy. That was nice and open. Ooh. Oh, wow. She's very open right there. That is cool. I got to go back and hear that again. I'm trying to pause less. I know sometimes I do pause, and I try to go back at least and make sure we don't miss anything in the music, but I'm trying to find a good balance where I don't pause a ton but I do, adequate analysis and all of that. But yeah, she's got a beautiful voice. Really incredible breath control. You can definitely tell, that she's been trained and she knows what she's doing with her placements and, all of the things that you would look for and listen for. So she's highly trained, and yeah, she just makes different choices a little bit with, and So-hyung's on the opposite end of it as far as like being super open, right? And some vocal coaches might even say too open, where it could, impact the sound that way. But yeah, Park is very gifted. I love her. I love how she did that at the very end there, where she just sang out and went to that high note. This song deserves that. I don't know why it wasn't written that way, because it's about rising up and being the best person we can be. And so how better to kind of demonstrate that than to really have this powerful high note come through at the end. So let me go back and get this last phrase here. What I wanted to kind of point out, so this note here, and we'll see it here in a second, but she's doing this, where you kind of like that, and that kind of, as I mentioned, the smile before, that lifts the soft palate in the back here, and creates a better airway for the sound to come through. So every decision you make when you're singing, whether you realize it or not, will impact the sound and the way that it comes through. So how you open your mouth, how much you open it, like I said before, where your tongue's at, all these different things. So, but yeah, she has a beautiful voice. Let's go back here one little bit further. Right there. You hear the resonance there? Nice and open there. Bravo. I really enjoyed that. She's definitely amazing. I'm excited to hear more of her performances. I think it's really hard to just get a small sampling, an inkling of the talent and what the singer brings to the table with just one performance. So I'm excited to hear more from her. And so if you guys could put it down in the comments, any recommendations that you have for other performances she's done that you really love, or that you love to see reactors experience, I would appreciate that. Yeah, I don't want you to take too much from what I've said as far as like negativity, because I really did enjoy her performance, and I'm kind of picky especially on this song, just because I do love the song a lot. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of her. She's got just, and this is where she's very similar to So Hyung actually, and she's got a very pure tone, very resonant, and she's definitely like throughout the entirety of the song, she was toward the top of the pitch. So I talked about that before, but yeah, basically, so I have relative pitch, so I can hear if someone is probably like an eighth of a step flat, and somewhere in that area, then I can hear it. So it's not perfect pitch, but I have pretty good ears that way. So, and sometimes it's hard because I'll be listening to a pop singer or something like that, right? And so I always can pick up things. So I'm trying to be better about not saying anything because I don't want to ruin it for anyone else. But yeah, with her, she's like So Hyung. So let's say this represents the pitch. So the note, if you see it on the scale, like if you're looking at a sheet music or whatever, and you see the note there that they're playing on singing. So this interval here represents the actual tone of that note that you'd play on the piano or whatever. So some singers kind of ride down here where they're a little on the low, kind of flat side. So they're on pitch per se, right? Because they're in this range. So they're on that note, but they're kind of riding it a little bit on the lower side. So maybe they're not getting enough air, or they're blocking the sound somehow with the way that they're, creating it with their instrument. Whatever the reason is for that, it may come through a little bit lower. But with So Hyung, and I also noticed with Park Ki Young, they're both on the higher part of the pitch, which it doesn't mean that they're sharp. They're not above the pitch, but they're just really on top of the pitch and right on. And that's what you want to hear. It's more pleasant to the ear, and it really brings the power of the music through more so. Yeah, so I loved her performance. She's amazing. This is part of what I love about the channel, is discovering these new artists, these new super talented people around the world. And I'm really grateful for all of you that are right on this journey with me, and giving me suggestions and helping me discover these phenomenal artists. So continue to do that. Continue to give your recommendations for other artists that you would like me to react to. I try to do at least one new artist a week. That's kind of my goal that I have for myself. Sometimes I'll do two, but I try to do at least one when I'm active, right? Which I'm going to try to get back to. So yeah. Also, just as an FYI, I do have merchandise. So you can see a link down below in the description. So if you want to get Music Lights the World apparel, you can get that. And I always close my reactions with a little message, and that is that you are special and you can accomplish your dreams, and you are loved. And if you need to find that love only through this channel, through the community that we have here, then so be it. I want to provide that for my viewers. And so if you're needing to hear that, I hope that this helps you in some way, because really we're all in this together, and we really need to be kind to each other and help each other along the way. That's what life is all about. I believe that love is the key. Love is the key to happiness in this life. And so we need to love others unconditionally. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes, people make mistakes and it hurts us, and we have trouble forgiving them. And that makes it hard. And a lot of other things as well, right? But we can have hope, and there are better days to come. And I hope you all know that. And again, I'm glad to have met you, and I love to get your comments, and you all have been very kind and reaching out and saying, hey, we're glad that you're feeling better, and our prayers are with you and things like that. And I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me, to feel that care and love from you. So that means a lot to me. So all the best to you, and take care.